invite us to reflect on one of the greatest mysteries of existence. What happens when we die? For centuries, humans have sought answers, but among the countless philosophies, religions, and scientific inquiries, one perspective stands out: the Tibetan Book of the Dead. This ancient text, shrouded in mystery and reverence, claims to offer not just theories, but a detailed roadmap of the afterlife. It dares to address the questions many of us are too afraid to ask, and provides a guide to navigating the unknown. Imagine for a moment the last breath leaving your body. What happens next? Is there light, darkness, silence, or something far beyond what we could ever comprehend? The Tibetan Book of the Dead tells us there is a process, a journey of the soul, that transcends physical existence. It describes stages where you encounter profound truths, face your deepest fears, and ultimately determine your next chapter, whether that be rebirth or liberation. This is not just a spiritual fairy tale. This is a guide meticulously crafted by Buddhist masters over centuries, based on observations of the human experience. You might be wondering why this matters to you now, as you sit in the comfort of life. The truth is, death is not just an event at the end of the road. It's a constant presence, shaping how we live, love, and make decisions. Fear of the unknown often dictates how we approach our days, whether we realize it or not. What if understanding this process could free you from that fear? What if you could approach life with a clarity and peace that only comes from embracing the inevitable? That's exactly what this video explores. We're diving into the pages of this sacred text to uncover the truths it reveals, not just about death, but about life itself. This journey will take us through ancient teachings, bridging the gap between spiritual wisdom and modern understanding. Along the way, you'll discover how these teachings resonate with scientific research on near-death experiences and the nature of consciousness. You'll see how the Tibetan perspective on death is not just about the end, but about transformation and opportunity. It's easy to dismiss the afterlife as mere speculation, but this is more than philosophical musing. This text doesn't just offer a glimpse into what might be, it provides tools to prepare for the transition and insights into how to live fully while we're here. The Tibetan masters believed that understanding the process of death was essential to living a meaningful life. They saw death not as an enemy, but as a teacher. The lessons contained in this book are as relevant today as they were centuries ago, and they may change how you see everything, from your daily routines to your deepest relationships. As you watch this video, you'll encounter ideas that challenge your perspective, perhaps even unsettle you. But in that discomfort lies the potential for growth. This is not about scaring you into belief or persuading you to adopt a particular faith. It's about exploring an ancient lens that might illuminate questions you've been too afraid to ask. Whether you're someone who seeks spiritual answers, a curious skeptic, or just someone wondering what it all means, there's something here for you. Stay with us until the end, because we're not just unpacking ancient teachings. We're connecting them to your life in ways that are practical, transformative, and deeply personal. What if the fear of death was replaced by a sense of curiosity and empowerment? What if you could look at your life and death not as separate events, but as part of a greater unified experience? The answers might surprise you, and they could be the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of not just death, but your place in the universe. This is not just a story. It's an invitation to see the unseen, to confront the inevitable, and to embrace the profound beauty of the unknown. Let's begin. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, or Bardo Thodol, is not just an ancient text, but a profound guide that offers insight into the mysterious journey of the soul after death. Rooted in Buddhist philosophy, it serves as a manual for navigating the space between life and rebirth, a transitional realm known as the Bardo. This word, which translates to in-between state, encapsulates the liminal experience that unfolds after the body takes its last breath. For centuries, Tibetan monks have revered this text as a roadmap to help the departed soul transition through these phases, offering clarity and guidance in a moment of profound transformation. The bardo is not just one state, but a series of stages that the soul moves through, each with its own significance and challenges. According to the teachings, the journey begins with the dissolution of the physical body. The elements that compose our physical being, earth, water, fire, air, and space, gradually break down, releasing the consciousness from its material vessel. This process is accompanied by distinct sensations and experiences described in vivid detail within the text. These are not merely poetic metaphors, but reflections of deep spiritual insights observed over generations. As the body fades, the soul enters the first stage of the bardo, a moment known as the clear light of reality. In this phase, the soul encounters a brilliant, radiant light, representing the pure essence of existence. This is the moment of ultimate truth, where the soul has the opportunity to merge with the universal consciousness and achieve liberation. However, this is easier said than done. Without proper preparation and spiritual practice during life, many souls fail to recognize this light for what it is. Instead, they are overwhelmed by fear, confusion, or attachment to their previous life, causing them to move further into the transitional phases. The next stage introduces vivid, often intense experiences as the soul encounters various visions. These can be serene and beautiful, or terrifying and chaotic, depending on the individual's karma and mental state. Tibetan teachings explain that these visions are projections of the mind, shaped by unresolved emotions, desires, and fears carried from life. They are not external realities, but reflections of the inner world, magnified and unfiltered. For those who have cultivated mindfulness and clarity in life, this stage can be navigated with a sense of calm and understanding. For others, it may feel like a bewildering dream from which there is no escape. Moving deeper into the bardo, the soul begins to encounter the pull of karma, the accumulated actions and intentions of their previous life. This force influences the experiences they face and the decisions they make in this transitional state. The Tibetan Book of the Dead emphasizes that these moments are crucial as they determine the trajectory of the soul's journey. The choices made here are not conscious in the way we understand decision-making, but are driven by deeply ingrained patterns of thought and emotion. This is why Tibetan Buddhism places such a strong emphasis on preparing for death during life through meditation, ethical living, and spiritual practice, to cultivate the awareness needed to navigate these moments with clarity. Another profound aspect of the bardo is the confrontation with the deities. The text describes encounters with peaceful and wrathful figures, each representing different aspects of the mind and spiritual teachings. These figures are not external beings, but symbolic manifestations of the soul's inner landscape. The peaceful deities embody compassion, wisdom, and serenity, while the wrathful ones represent the intensity of unbridled emotions and unresolved conflicts. For those unprepared, these encounters can feel overwhelming as the mind struggles to interpret these vivid experiences. However, the teachings remind us that recognizing these figures as projections of the self can lead to liberation. It is not the deities themselves that hold power, but the soul's ability to perceive them with clarity and understanding. The final stage of the bardo is the preparation for rebirth. For souls unable to attain liberation, the pull of karma grows stronger, guiding them toward a new life. This stage is marked by a sense of urgency as the soul seeks a new physical form to inhabit. The Tibetan teachings explain that the circumstances of rebirth, such as the family, location, and even the challenges of the next life, are influenced by the karmic seeds sown in the previous one. This cyclical process, known as samsara, continues until the soul achieves enlightenment and breaks free from the cycle of birth and death. What makes the Bardo teachings so profound is their emphasis on preparation. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is not just a guide for the departed, but a manual for the living. It teaches that by understanding and accepting the impermanence of life, we can prepare ourselves for the inevitable journey through the Bardo. Meditation, mindfulness, and the practice of letting go are central to this preparation. By cultivating these skills during life, we can approach death with a sense of peace and clarity rather than fear and confusion. Modern science has begun to explore parallels with these teachings, particularly in studies of near-death experiences. People who have faced clinical death and returned often describe vivid encounters with light, feelings of peace, or even visions that align with descriptions from the Bardo. While science has yet to fully explain these phenomena, they provide a fascinating connection between ancient wisdom and contemporary understanding. The Tibetan perspective offers a lens through which these experiences can be interpreted, emphasizing their role as part of a larger spiritual journey. Understanding the Bardo is not just about preparing for death, it's about transforming how we live. The teachings remind us that life and death are not opposites, but interconnected aspects of existence. By embracing this truth, we can live more fully, cultivating compassion, mindfulness, and a deeper appreciation for the present moment. The Bardo is not just a passage for the soul after death, it is a mirror reflecting the inner workings of the mind and spirit. It challenges us to confront our fears, transcend our attachments, and recognize the profound interconnectedness of all things. This journey through the Bardo is as much about liberation as it is about discovery. It offers a chance to see beyond the illusions of the material world and to connect with the deeper truths of existence. Whether one believes in reincarnation or sees these teachings as symbolic, their wisdom resonates with universal questions about life, death, and the nature of the self. The Tibetan Book of the Dead provides a map, not just for the end, but for the endless cycle of beginnings and transitions that define our existence. By understanding its teachings, we can approach the inevitable with courage, clarity, and a sense of purpose, transforming both our life and our death into profound opportunities for growth. The process of dying, as described in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, is a profound journey of dissolution and transformation. It is not merely the end of life, but the beginning of a transition that takes the soul beyond the physical world and into realms of unimaginable depth. The teachings offer a detailed roadmap for this journey, outlining the stages that unfold as the body releases its hold on consciousness and the soul begins its passage through the Bardo. This roadmap is more than a spiritual guide. It is a compassionate manual designed to help us navigate one of the most profound experiences of existence. The journey begins with the gradual dissolution of the physical body. In the Tibetan tradition, the human body is composed of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. These elements are not just physical components, but also energetic forces that sustain life. As death approaches, these elements begin to disintegrate, one by one, signaling the body's transition into stillness. This process is described in vivid detail in the Tibetan teachings, offering a clear understanding of what happens at each stage. The first to dissolve is the earth element, which represents the body's solidity. As this element fades, there is a sensation of heaviness, and the body feels as though it is sinking. The physical strength diminishes, and the senses begin to dull. Following this, the water element dissolves. This element governs bodily fluids, and its dissolution is marked by dryness and a loss of fluidity within the body. The mouth and throat become parched, and the sense of taste diminishes. Next comes the dissolution of the fire element, responsible for warmth and metabolism. As this element fades, the body grows cold, particularly in the extremities. The ability to digest food disappears, and the internal heat begins to recede. After this, The air element dissolves, which governs movement and breath. The breathing becomes erratic, shallow, and labored, signaling the final stages of physical life. Finally, the space element, which provides the foundation for all other elements, dissolves. This marks the complete cessation of physical activity, and the body becomes still. As the physical elements dissolve, so too does the mind begin to transition. The Tibetan teachings describe this as the disintegration of the mental and emotional states associated with these elements. With the earth element, the mind loses its sense of stability, creating confusion and disorientation. As the water element fades, emotional attachments and desires begin to weaken. The dissolution of the fire element brings a loss of clarity and focus, while the air element's fading brings a sense of detachment and the loosening of mental grasping. When the space element dissolves, the mind enters a state of emptiness, a precursor to the soul's encounter with the clear light of reality. The clear light is one of the most profound moments in the process of dying. It is described as a brilliant, radiant light that represents the pure essence of existence. This is the soul's opportunity to merge with the universal consciousness, a moment of ultimate liberation. However, this requires recognition and acceptance of the light, which is often difficult for those unprepared. The Tibetan teachings emphasize that this moment is fleeting, and without spiritual practice, the soul may fail to recognize the light and move deeper into the bardo. For those who do not achieve liberation, the journey continues into the transitional phases of the bardo. These stages are marked by vivid visions and experiences that reflect the soul's inner state. The Tibetan teachings describe this as a time when unresolved emotions, desires, and fears manifest in the form of symbolic imagery. These visions can be serene and peaceful, or chaotic and terrifying, depending on the individual's karma and mental state. It is a mirror of the soul's inner world, magnified and unfiltered. At this point, the pull of karma becomes a guiding force. The soul's past actions and intentions shape the experiences it encounters and influence the decisions it makes. These decisions are not conscious in the way we understand them, but are driven by deep-seated patterns of thought and emotion. The Tibetan Book of the Dead provides guidance on recognizing these patterns and navigating them with clarity. It teaches that understanding the illusory nature of these visions can help the soul move toward liberation rather than becoming trapped in fear or confusion. The soul's journey through the bardo also includes encounters with deities, both peaceful and wrathful. These are not external beings, but symbolic representations of the mind's inner workings. The peaceful deities embody qualities such as compassion and wisdom, offering guidance and support. The wrathful deities, on the other hand, reflect unresolved fears and emotions, appearing as intense and overwhelming forces. The teachings remind us that recognizing these figures as projections of the self is key to navigating this phase. They are not to be feared, but understood as aspects of the mind's own creation. As the journey through the bardo continues, the soul begins to prepare for rebirth. This stage is marked by an increasing pull toward the material world, guided by the soul's karma. The Tibetan teachings describe this as a time of urgency, where the soul seeks a new physical form. The circumstances of rebirth, including the family, environment, and challenges of the next life, are determined by the karmic seeds sown in the previous life. This cyclical process, known as samsara, continues until the soul achieves enlightenment and breaks free from the cycle of birth and death. Throughout this process, the Tibetan teachings emphasize the importance of preparation. The journey through the bardo is shaped by the mind's state at the time of death, making spiritual practice during life essential. Meditation, mindfulness, and the cultivation of compassion and wisdom are seen as tools to prepare the mind for this transition. These practices not only help in navigating the bardo, but also transform how we live, encouraging a deeper understanding of impermanence and the interconnectedness of all things. Modern research into near-death experiences offers fascinating parallels to the Bardo teachings. People who have returned from clinical death often describe encounters with light, feelings of peace, and vivid visions, echoing the descriptions found in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. While science cannot fully explain these phenomena, they provide a compelling connection between ancient wisdom and contemporary understanding. The Tibetan perspective offers a lens through which these experiences can be interpreted, highlighting their role as part of a larger spiritual journey. The process of dying, as described in the Tibetan teachings, is not just about the end of life, but about transformation and opportunity. It challenges us to confront our fears, understand our inner world, and prepare for the unknown with clarity and courage. By understanding this roadmap, we can approach death not as an end, but as a continuation of the soul's journey, offering profound insights into the nature of existence and the potential for liberation. This perspective invites us to live with greater awareness and purpose, knowing that every moment is a step on the path to understanding and transcendence. The teachings of the Tibetan Book of the Dead are not merely a guide for what happens after death. They hold profound lessons for the living. By understanding the process of death and the journey through the Bardo, we are invited to reflect on the impermanence of life and the interconnectedness of existence. These insights can profoundly transform how we live, shaping our choices, relationships, and sense of purpose. Far from being a distant and abstract concept, the wisdom of the Tibetan teachings brings clarity to the here and now, showing us how to live with greater intention and peace. One of the most significant lessons from the Tibetan perspective is the importance of embracing impermanence. Everything in life, from the smallest moments to the grandest achievements, is fleeting. Yet most of us live as though we are immune to this truth. We cling to possessions, relationships, and identities, fearing the change and loss that are inevitable. This attachment not only creates suffering, but also blinds us to the beauty of the present moment. By confronting the reality of death, we begin to understand that life's transience is not a cause for despair, but a reminder to cherish each moment fully. When we let go of the illusion of permanence, we open ourselves to the richness of life as it is, free from the weight of unnecessary expectations and fears. Another vital teaching is the power of mindfulness and awareness. The Tibetan Book of the Dead emphasizes that the state of mind at the time of death significantly impacts the soul's journey through the Bardo. Similarly, in life, our thoughts and emotions shape our experiences and relationships. By cultivating mindfulness, we learn to observe our mental and emotional states without being controlled by them. This practice allows us to respond to challenges with clarity and compassion, rather than reacting out of fear or habit. Mindfulness brings us into the present moment, where we can fully engage with life and make conscious choices that align with our deeper values. The teachings also remind us of the importance of compassion and interconnectedness. In the Bardo, the soul encounters visions and experiences that reflect its inner state, emphasizing the profound connection between our thoughts, actions, and the realities we create. In life, this understanding translates into a call for empathy and kindness. Recognizing that we are all part of the same web of existence encourages us to treat others with care and respect. Compassion becomes not just an ideal, but a practical way of living that enhances our relationships and contributes to a more harmonious world. When we approach others with an open heart, we create a ripple effect of positivity that extends far beyond ourselves. Preparation for the inevitable is another lesson that the Tibetan teachings offer. Just as the Book of the Dead serves as a guide for navigating the transition through the Bardo, we are encouraged to prepare for the transitions and challenges we face in life. This preparation is not about fear or control, but about cultivating resilience and adaptability. Meditation, reflection, and spiritual practice are tools that help us face uncertainty with courage and clarity. By practicing detachment and letting go of attachments to material possessions and rigid identities, we become more adaptable to change, whether it comes in the form of loss, failure, or the end of life itself. The Tibetan perspective also challenges us to reevaluate our understanding of fear and how it limits us. The fear of death, deeply ingrained in many cultures, often leads to a reluctance to confront our mortality. This avoidance affects how we live, keeping us from taking risks, pursuing our passions, or fully embracing the present moment. The teachings show us that fear is not an enemy, but a teacher, inviting us to explore its roots and transcend its grip. By understanding and accepting death, we can free ourselves from the paralysis of fear and live with greater freedom and joy. One of the most practical applications of these teachings is the cultivation of gratitude. Recognizing the fleeting nature of life encourages us to appreciate what we have, rather than constantly striving for more. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is lacking to what is present, creating a sense of abundance and contentment. It also strengthens our connections with others, as we learn to value the time we share and the relationships we build. This shift in perspective not only enhances our emotional well-being, but also aligns us with the deeper truths of existence. The teachings also highlight the importance of living with intention. In the Bardo, the soul's journey is shaped by its karma, the accumulation of actions and intentions from its previous life. This concept reminds us that every thought, word, and deed has an impact, not just on others but on our own growth and transformation. By living with intention, we align our actions with our values, creating a life that reflects who we truly are. This intentionality helps us navigate life's challenges with a sense of purpose and direction, rather than being swept along by circumstances beyond our control. Understanding the nature of the Bardo also encourages us to embrace forgiveness and healing. In the transitional state, unresolved emotions and conflicts can become obstacles for the soul. Similarly, in life, holding on to resentment and pain creates barriers that prevent us from fully experiencing joy and connection. Forgiveness is not about condoning harm, but about freeing ourselves from the weight of anger and bitterness. It allows us to release the past and move forward with a sense of lightness and peace. Healing, whether emotional, physical, or spiritual, is a process of integration that helps us align with our true nature and live more authentically. The lessons of the Tibetan Book of the Dead ultimately call us to awaken to the present moment. The journey through the Bardo is not just a guide for the afterlife, but a mirror reflecting the truths of our daily existence. Each moment is an opportunity to grow, to connect, and to live fully. By embracing these teachings, we are reminded that life and death are not separate but part of a continuous cycle of transformation. This perspective empowers us to face life's challenges with courage, to approach others with compassion, and to cultivate a sense of purpose and peace that transcends the fear of the unknown. As we incorporate these lessons into our lives, we begin to see death not as an end, but as a teacher. It reminds us of the preciousness of life and the importance of living in alignment with our deepest truths. The wisdom of the Tibetan teachings offers a pathway to greater awareness, compassion, and fulfillment, helping us navigate the complexities of existence with grace and understanding. Through this lens, the mystery of death becomes a source of inspiration, guiding us to live with greater intention and connection, both to ourselves and to the world around us. 3/3. The Tibetan Book of the Dead offers a perspective on death that challenges many of the myths and misconceptions we hold about this inevitable transition. By exploring its teachings, we can uncover truths that not only demystify death, but also reshape how we live. These insights bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and modern understanding, providing clarity on a topic often clouded by fear, speculation, and misunderstanding. One common myth about death is that it is an abrupt end, a moment where everything ceases to exist. The Tibetan teachings reveal a different story, presenting death as a process rather than a single event. According to the Bardo Thodol, the journey of the soul is not confined to a final breath, but unfolds through a series of stages. The physical body may fade, but consciousness continues to navigate the in-between state, encountering experiences shaped by karma, thoughts, and emotions. This perspective shifts the narrative from finality to transformation, showing that death is not an end, but a doorway to something beyond. Another misconception is that the experiences after death are entirely external, dictated by forces outside of ourselves. The Tibetan teachings emphasize that what we encounter in the Bardo is a projection of our own mind. The visions of peaceful and wrathful deities, the sensations of light or darkness, and the feelings of peace or fear are all reflections of our inner world. This understanding underscores the importance of mental and emotional preparation in life. By cultivating mindfulness, compassion, and awareness, we can influence how we perceive and navigate the journey through death. The idea of punishment or reward in the afterlife is another widespread belief. Many cultures and religions suggest that good behavior leads to heavenly rewards, while wrongdoing results in eternal punishment. The Tibetan perspective reframes this concept, focusing instead on karma as a natural law of cause and effect. The experiences in the Bardo are not judgments imposed by an external authority, but the unfolding of patterns created by our actions and intentions. This removes the notion of arbitrary punishment and highlights personal responsibility. It encourages us to live consciously, understanding that our choices shape not only this life, but the journey beyond. Some view the process of dying as a purely physical or medical event, disconnected from spiritual or emotional dimensions. The Tibetan teachings remind us that death is deeply interconnected with every aspect of our being. The dissolution of the physical elements is paralleled by changes in the mental and emotional realms. This holistic perspective reveals that how we live directly impacts how we die. A life filled with unresolved emotions, attachments, and fear creates challenges in the transitional state, while a life of mindfulness and clarity paves the way for a smoother journey. This understanding invites us to approach death not with detachment, but with preparation and reverence. A significant truth the Tibetan Book of the Dead offers is that liberation is always possible, even in the face of death. While many believe that our fate after death is predetermined or fixed, the teachings suggest that the soul has opportunities to achieve enlightenment throughout the journey. The clear light of reality, encountered shortly after death, offers a chance for the soul to merge with the universal consciousness. Even for those who miss this moment, the stages of the Bardo present further opportunities for recognition and liberation. This perspective inspires hope, showing that death is not a final judgment, but a continuous process of learning and growth. One myth that often arises in discussions about death is that it is something to be feared and avoided at all costs. The Tibetan teachings take a radically different view, portraying death as a natural part of the cycle of existence. By understanding its processes and preparing for its inevitability, we can approach it with curiosity and peace rather than fear. The Bardo is not presented as a punishment or a test, but as a reflection of our inner state and an opportunity for transformation. This understanding encourages us to face death with openness, seeing it as a teacher rather than an enemy. The Tibetan perspective also challenges the idea that the afterlife is a distant or abstract concept. The Bardo is not just a realm we encounter after death, but a reflection of the mental and emotional states we experience in life. The teachings suggest that by recognizing and addressing our fears, attachments, and unresolved emotions now, we can influence not only our present experience, but also our journey beyond this life. This integration of life and death into a single, interconnected process highlights the importance of living with intention and awareness. The myths and truths revealed by the Tibetan Book of the Dead invite us to re-examine our relationship with death. They challenge us to let go of fear, embrace impermanence, and cultivate the qualities that will guide us through life and beyond. Death is not an end to be dreaded, but a transition to be understood. By exploring these teachings, we can approach the unknown with a sense of empowerment, recognizing that the journey through the bardo is not just about what happens after we die, but about how we choose to live now. Death has always been one of humanity's greatest mysteries, a veil of uncertainty that leaves most of us uneasy. But the teachings of the Tibetan Book of the Dead offer a lens that not only clarifies what lies beyond, but also transforms how we see the life we are living right now. It is not just a guide for the departed. It is a call to awaken, to live with intention, and to prepare for what is inevitable, yet profoundly meaningful. The journey through the bardo reminds us that death is not an end, but a continuation, a transition that reflects the choices, thoughts, and emotions we carry within. It is a mirror of our inner world, showing us the impact of the life we have lived and the patterns we have created. This realization can feel overwhelming, but it is also liberating. It tells us that we have the power to influence not just our experience in this life, but the journey that follows. By embracing this understanding, we begin to see death not as a final curtain, but as an essential part of existence, as natural as birth itself. Through these teachings, we are invited to redefine our relationship with impermanence. Instead of fearing the transience of life, we can celebrate its beauty. Instead of clinging to what we know, we can open ourselves to the unknown with curiosity and courage. Death becomes less of a looming shadow and more of a guide, reminding us to live fully and authentically in each moment. The Tibetan perspective encourages us to embrace our humanity, to cultivate mindfulness and compassion, and to prepare for the transitions ahead with clarity and peace. What we learn from the bardo is that the journey of death is deeply intertwined with the journey of life. They are not separate, but part of a continuous cycle of growth and transformation. Every breath, every thought, every act of kindness shapes this journey, reminding us that the time to awaken is now. The mysteries of death teach us that life is precious, not despite its impermanence, but because of it. As we redefine our understanding of death, we discover the profound truth that to truly live, we must first understand how to let go.